This is your CCNA practice round, 16 real exam-style questions. Here's the deal. You read each question, lock in your answer before the timer reveals it. Then I break down the exam logic so it sticks under pressure. Keep score as you go. The difficulty climbs question by question, and the ones most people miss are waiting near the end. So stick around to the finish and prove you can hold your streak. Let's get into it. Question 1 of 16. Which type of ML involves training with labeled datasets? Option A, unsupervised learning. Option B, supervised learning. Option C, deep learning. Option D, reinforcement learning. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is Option B. Exam logic. Supervised learning uses labeled datasets to train models. Unsupervised learning, in contrast, works with unlabeled data. Question 2 of 16. You issue the following command on R1, the command shown on screen. Backbone. Option B, ABR. Option C, ASBR. Option D, interarea. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is Option C. Why it works. The router becomes an ASBR by injecting an external default route into the OSPF domain. The trap is confusing ASBR with ABR, which redistributes between OSPF areas, not external routes. Question 3 of 16. R1 is connected to a broadcast OSPF segment with 4 other routers. R1 is neither DR nor BDR for the segment. With how many routers on the segment does R1 exchange LSAs? Option A, 1. Option B, 3. Option C, 4. Option D, 2. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is Option D. Key cue. Druthers only exchange LSAs with the DR and BDR. The question tests knowledge of OSPF adjacency reduction on multi-access networks. Quick gut check. You are a quarter of the way in. How is your score holding up? Keep it rolling. Question 4 of 16. What is the 800 2.11 frame type of association request and response messages? Option A, management. Option B, probe. Option C, control. Option D, data. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is Option A. Behind the answer, these are management frames used for client association. The distractor probe is a related but incorrect frame type. Question 5 of 16. Which of the following protocols is commonly used for a secure site-to-site VPN? Option A, IPsec. Option B, TLS. Option C, GRE. Option D, SSL. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is Option A. Reasoning. IPsec is the industry standard for encrypting site-to-site VPN traffic over untrusted networks. TLS is typically for client-server. Question 6 of 16. Examine R1's routing table below. Which interface will R1 use to forward a packet destined for IP address, the IP address shown on screen? Snarl the IP range shown on screen via the IP address shown on screen DE2. The IP range shown on screen via the IP address shown on screen. The IPv6 address shown on screen. Gigabit Ethernet 04C. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 00L. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 00C. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 01L. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 01C. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 02L. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 0 and 2C. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 03L. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 0 and 3C. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 0/4 L. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 0/4 C. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 0 and 5 liter. The IP range shown on screen is directly connected. Gigabit Ethernet 0 and 5R. The IP range shown on screen via the IP address shown on screen, the IPv6 address shown on screen, Gigabit Ethernet 01DE2, the IP range shown on screen. Via the IP address shown on screen, the IPv6 address shown on screen, Gigabit Ethernet U02DEX, the IP range shown on screen, 170-3072 via the IP address shown on screen, the IPv6 address shown on screen, Gigabit Ethernet 0E2. Option A, Gigabit Ethernet 02. Option B, Gigabit Ethernet 04. Option C, Gigabit Ethernet 01. Option D, Gigabit Ethernet 05. Option E, Gigabit Ethernet 0/5. Option E, Gigabit Ethernet 0/0. Option F, Gigabit Ethernet 0/3. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option D. What the exam tests here? The default route is used. R1 forwards packets to the next hop via its directly connected interface. The test is longest prefix match. Question 7 of 16. R1's G01 is configured with IP address the IP range shown on screen, and R1's G02 is configured with IP address the IP range shown on screen. Which of the following commands will activate OSPF on both interfaces with a single command? Option A, network, the IP address shown on screen area 0. Option B, network, the IP address shown on screen area 0. Option C, network, the IP address shown on screen area 0. Option C, network, the IP address shown on screen area 0. Option D, network, the IP address shown on screen area 0. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option D. Exam logic. The OSPF network command uses a wildcard mask to match interface IP addresses. The correct wildcard mask option covers both subnet addresses, while other options only match one or neither. Halfway point. The questions step up in difficulty from here, so do not coast. This is where the exam separates people. Question 8 of 16. Examine the network diagram below. You configure the 4 ACLs below on R1, the command shown on screen. Option A, ACL 104. Option B, ACL 101. Option C, ACL 103. Option D, ACL 102. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is option D. Why it works? ACL 101 correctly permits UDP syslog from PC1 to the server and denies other UDP syslog traffic to the server, while allowing all other traffic through. Question 9 of 16. Which of the following commands will not result in an interface being disabled, but will generate syslog messages when a port security violation occurs? Option A, switch port security violation log. Option B, switch port security violation restrict. Option C, switch port security violation protect. Option D, switch port security violation shutdown. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option B. Key cue. The restrict action discards violating frames and logs the event, but does not shut down the port, unlike the shutdown action. Question 10 of 16. You configure DHCP snooping on SW1 as below, the command shown on screen. Which of the following is the most likely reason for this? Option A. You need to activate DHCP snooping on the interfaces. Option B. You need to enable DHCP snooping on the VLAN. Option C. You need to enable option 82. Option D. You need to configure G01, G0 and 2, and G03 as untrusted ports. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option B. Behind the answer, DHCP snooping must be explicitly enabled on a VLAN to inspect traffic. The common mistake is assuming global configuration is sufficient, while VLAN-level enablement is required. Question 11 of 16. Which of the following is an example of MFA? Option A. You do a retina scan and then do a fingerprint scan. Option B. You swipe a keycard and then touch your phone to a panel. Option C. You enter a username/password. On the next screen, you enter a PIN. Option D. You swipe a keycard and then do a fingerprint scan. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option D. Reasoning. The correct answer proves that multi-factor authentication requires two distinct factors, like something you have and something you are. Option A is a distractor because both factors are biometric. 3/4 done. You are in the home stretch now, so tighten your focus for the hardest run. Question 12 of 16. Examine R1's routing table. Which interface will it use to forward a packet destined for the IP address shown on screen? Option A. Gigabit Ethernet 01. Option B. Gigabit Ethernet 00. Option C. Gigabit Ethernet 03. Option D. Gigabit Ethernet 02. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is option A. What the exam tests here. The correct answer proves that the router uses the most specific route to determine the exit interface. The longer prefix length for the IP range shown on screen is more specific than the IP range shown on screen. Question 13 of 16. Which of the following commands correctly configures a lag connected to a Cisco AirOS WLC? Option A. Channel Group 1 Mode Auto. Option B. Channel Group 1 Mode On. Option C. Channel Group 1 Mode Desirable. Option D. Channel Group 1 Mode Active. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option B. Exam logic. This question verifies knowledge that Cisco WLCs require static lag configuration using the mode on command. The other options describe dynamic lag protocols for switches and are incorrect. Question 14 of 16. Which of these commands can be used to make a fast Ethernet interface have an OSPF cost of 1,000? Option A. The command shown on screen. Option B. The command shown on screen. Option C. The command shown on screen. Option C. The command shown on screen. Option D. The command shown on screen. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option C. Why it works. The answer proves that OSPF cost is calculated using the reference bandwidth. This question tests the ability to calculate the correct reference bandwidth needed to achieve a desired cost. Final stretch. These last few are the ones most test takers get wrong, so make them count. Question 15 of 16. Which type of API is used for communications between a controller and the network devices? Option A. Northbound. Option B. Underlay. Option C. REST. Option D. Southbound. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option D. KQ. This question confirms that southbound APIs manage the controller-to-device layer, while northbound APIs connect controllers to applications. Question 16 of 16. Examine the JSON-formatted data below. Which of the following statements is true? Network, version, 2. Renderer, network, Wi-Fi's, WLP2's S0B1. DHCP4, no. DHCP6, no. Addresses, the IP range shown on screen. Name servers, addresses, the IP address shown on screen. The IP address shown on screen. Network SSID name, password. Routes cocovert, routes. 2. Default, via, the IP address shown on screen. Option A. The value of version is a string. Option B. A curly brace is missing. Option C. It is valid JSON data. Option D. A square bracket is missing. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is Option B. Behind the answer, this question tests validation of JSON syntax. The key is to recognize that the structure is missing a closing brace, making it syntactically invalid.